Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Vic Cuevas. I'm your host here at the T.E.A.M podcast. It's something that I've been dying to do. I'm going to go live with it regularly now. Together, everyone achieves more. That's my philosophy. That's our podcast philosophy. Our brand is to work together, and everyone can achieve more if we work together. Today, I have a guest, a colleague of mine, a good friend, a guy who I'm really getting to know on a personal level. And he is running for alderman by district in the 4th district in Waterbury. It's a primary election that'll be coming up on September 9th. And Allan Leon is a guy that has a great background, and he's well-versed. And, today I want to bring you Allan, not so much the candidate, right? Because people need to know Allan the person. So the ideal today is to bring Mr. Allan Leon to introduce himself, let you know who he is, what he represents, why now, why is he doing this, what's his journey, what got him here, and what triggered him to get engaged and say, enough is enough, we need change, and I'm stepping in the arena. So without further ado, let me say, people, here is Allan Leon.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you for having me here for this event. How long do we have?
We have about 15 minutes before we bring on the next candidate, but it's okay, Al.
Okay, so let me start from the beginning. I come from a single-parent background. My mother raised me by herself with the help of some relatives for support. I went to public school, Slocum School, and it was no thought of college because there was no funds. It was an economically disadvantaged background. I will get it out there. My mother was on state assistance, being a single parent, till I was age 18 years old. So I have that in my background. I went to Slocum School, and it was, okay, it's time to go to a trade school. And you could pick any trade that best suits what you'd like to do. So I went to Kaner Technical High School in Waterbury, and I thought I wanted electrical trade until I was told that I'm partially colorblind, and the resistors used for the electrical trade were all color matched, so they denied me an opportunity to pursue that trade.
Wow.
Because, of course, then they couldn't take that chance, and it was in indirect sunlight. Not to get too detailed, if I was in direct sunlight, I'd be able to tell the pale reds and the pale browns. So my second choice was auto mechanics. I loved it, Okay, so it's time for graduation. Well, I'm not done with school. Maybe I'll open a garage, have my own business,
right,
and pursue auto mechanics. So I went to Mattituck Community College back then. Now it's called Naugatuck Valley Community College.
Most of us went there.
There you go.
Local.
And I took business courses because I figured if I was going to open up a mechanic shop, I better know some business. And that was a 2-year program. And then things started changing where I said, you know what, I want to pursue what I think I truly love, and that was science and medicine. Wow. So, okay, time to go to University of Connecticut in Waterbury. So some of my credits were transferable to UConn.
So you went to the old UConn up on up at the
Buckingham Street.
Okay, that's the old UConn campus. Correct.
I never made it to the new facility because it hadn't been built yet.
Of course.
And I was fortunate enough that it was a 2-year program. It was a commuter college, and then you had to do your remainder 2 years in Storrs, Connecticut. But at the same time, I was taking care of my mother, who took ill. I was working full-time at Waterbury Hospital as a security officer.
Look at that.
And I was in school full-time with maybe 18 credits, not just 15 credits, 18 credits. So now if I want to pursue medicine, to make myself competitive, you can't get anything less than an A grade, okay, because you just won't compete against those other high GPAs.
So you knew the struggle here, my friends.
Struggle.
Yeah.
I know nothing else but struggle.
I love it. This is great. But God, continue.
So you're going to get a background on me that very rarely does anybody here. But it's made me who I am today. And so my professors knew what my life was like, and they arranged for me to do my entire 4 years at the Waterbury campus. I never stepped foot one day in Storrs, Connecticut.
Wow.
And I obtained my degree out of Waterbury. There was one course, I was an English major, and my minor was pre-med. So English is one of the more difficult disciplines.
Of course.
And if you pass with good grades, it opens the doors for many different areas of life: journalism, law, medicine, because it gives you the opportunity to write, to speak, to interpret, to understand. So one course was going to force me to go to the UConn campus in Storrs, and then one of the English professors, originally from Ireland, had come to Waterbury to teach, and I did a near thesis paper on the course, and the dean at the main campus signed off on it and gave his approval. So I worked extra hard for that one course. It was, I think, a 25-page near thesis paper, and I was able to graduate out of UConn in Waterbury summa cum laude.
Wow.
Okay?
Kudos to you, my brother. Absolutely.
In my major of English. Wow. Now, overall, because of calculus, and remember, I came from a technical high school, so math wasn't really pushed on you. You were taught shop math, basic math. So for medicine, they always want you to have those eliminating courses to separate the strong-minded maybe from the weaker minds. And so calculus was a nemesis of mine. So in order not to bring my GPA down, I opted to drop calculus courses because they would have lowered my grade. And I ended up with a BA in English and all my pre-med courses fulfilled. And okay, I'm on my journey.
Yeah.
This is
a great journey.
I was working at Waterbury Hospital full time.
Yeah.
I was in security. Waterbury Hospital at the time, between 1988 and 92, offered tuition reimbursement.
Wow.
As long as you got a B or above, they paid your tuition up to maybe $900 a semester.
Yeah.
So, of course, all my grades were A minus. Now, I'm not a typical easy A student. I have to work hard to boost my B plus naturalness to an A minus or an A. So I would spend extra time with all my professors if I'd had difficulty with certain concepts in science and organic chemistry or chemistry. And what I did for them, I gave back to them time. I became a teaching assistant for my chemistry professor. I was grading papers for her. My organic chemistry professor, I was a lab assistant. So not only working 40-plus hours a week, because I never turned down overtime, and it was always Monday through Friday. I always left my weekends completely free of studying and any work at the university, because I had a girlfriend at the time. So I wanted to balance quality time with my girlfriend, but really just do my best during the week, Monday through Friday, nearly killing
it. Sounds like you were on the grind, though, like doing, multifaceted things in your personal life and educationally. So,
and what got me through, Vic, knowing there was light at the end of the tunnel, that it wasn't always going to be like this. Of course, not only that, but being, from an young age and responsible with paper routes when I was of age to begin paper, the grace of God had gotten me through. Without question, my faith grew stronger instead of weaker. And I lived next to a nice church up off of North Main Street, on my St. Michael's Church, and I became familiar with the clergy there. And I felt as though I had a calling. So I spent time with them, and I was entered into a postulant year, and that's a year of discernment where you decide if this is going to be the life for you, or it gives them the opportunity to say, is this the best candidate for us?
Right.
So during that year, I was working, I was in education, I was a postulant, and they put me in the friary and a diocesan parish, it would be called it would be called the friar, not the friary, but it would be called the rectory, okay?
Right.
And so I spent 6 months at St. Michael's Parish, and then the following 6 months in New Milford with a different priest of the same order of the Immaculate Conception province. And during that time, on weekends, I would fly up to Boston, right next to Boston University, because they had a postulant house up there, and I'd meet the other postulants that were on their journey.
It's amazing.
So, and that's just part of it, because in 1997, I was offered the opportunity to go to El Salvador and do 12 weeks of medical mission work. So now I'm in the program, and I have these electives that I have to fulfill, or rotations, as they're called.
So you actually went overseas?
For 12 weeks, I was in El Salvador, in a little town called Sonsonate on the west coast of El Salvador, the capital of San Salvador. And I would ride out with the local physician that was part of the mission there, and the mission was called Agape, and it was founded and established by Father Flavian Musi, a Franciscan friar who was born in Boston, Massachusetts, who had a calling that as soon as he was ordained, he left and went down to Honduras. Wow. And he worked there at a mission for about a year or so, and then he saw that El Salvador did not have a particular mission that he had in mind. So he relocated to El Salvador, and he began and founded Agape on the West Coast, and he built it so that it included, for the local people there, textile shops to make clothing, technical support, factories. He created and educated local people to give them skills so that they can sustain themselves through life.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so I met him while I was down there, and I'll never forget my very first day. It was 105 degrees every day, okay, and about 101 degrees at night. And he put me in a room that was next to the senior center of all the aged people that would go there because they had nowhere else to go, and they would get 3 meals a day. They'd get some lodging, and they had, a community room where they washed their clothes. And so I was put there, and there was a mattress on the bed. There were no bed sheets. There were no pillows. The television was there, but it didn't work. I was fortunate to have a screen on the window, no air conditioning.
So your journey, I have to stop for a second, because just from the beginning to the human ascension that you have gone through to that point in your life, it's just like you came out of struggle, something triggered you, that you saw the light, right? Like, there's other options besides what I want to do, but I have to work hard at something else. So you change your discipline, and then opportunity to kind of like become well-versed in other things, meet other people from other countries, took you in a different trajectory. And it was still a struggle when you were there, but and I don't mean to interrupt you, but people need to understand that that's what makes us different as human beings, from different ethnicities, from different walks of life. And what you bring just through your experience, it's amazing, because you're not this guy that lived a regular life, if you will, right? And when people hear this stuff, it's like writing your own book, but nobody's read it. So this is why I want to have this opportunity, so people can get to know who you are. And I appreciate that. But go ahead. I didn't mean to. It's just fascinating to me. But at some point, what I want you to do is take that journey where you were, to kind of hone it back. And now you're back home. You worked professionally. You served, in your discipline. And then you decided to, hey, I'm retired, and here I am, and why I'm doing it.
Absolutely. To make the El Salvadoran trip, wrap it up, I did meet the president of El Salvador, because the medical mission priest asked me to attend with him a function to bless I believe it was a Gatorade plant in San Salvador, the capital. So we go, and the president of El Salvador comes in, and the mission priest knew him very well. So they invited the mission priest and myself to go to dinner at the palace in El Salvador for dinner at night. So we went, and we're sitting around a big conference table. He has some of his generals around with him, and he turns to me and he says, in English, "Allan, what do you think of our country?" The mission priest looked at me like, I go,
Hope for a good answer.
I said, listen, it was Juan Calderon Sol who was the president.
Wow.
I said, "Mr. President, when I was flying over to land here, I saw the topography, the beautiful mountains, the volcanoes that are dormant, the trees. You have such beautiful land and topography. I was awed by that. But more importantly," I said, "when I met the people, the local people, and their friendliness, and they're willing to help, and they're nothing like maybe a stereotype you might hear of people being lazy and inefficient. These were warm, I said, your greatest resource are your people of your country." I said, "and that's what I'm going to take home with me." The mission priest looked at me and went,
Good job, Allan.
didn't know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, all right, I come back. I realized at the end of the year with the Franciscans, I can do more outside of the order than within it. So that was wonderful. So now I finish up all my medical programs, and I worked in Waterbury for 4 years in private practice, pain management. And then I went to Hartford Hospital for acute pain management. And
What was your title at the time for when you did the pain management?
I was in rotation, so I was still a medical student.
Okay, you're a medical student.
Okay.
Okay.
And so now it's time at the Hartford Hospital and Children's Hospital in anesthesia. And I lost the ability to talk to my patients for 10, 15 minutes in private practice. You sit with them in a private room for, sometimes maybe 30 minutes, and you really get to know them.
Right.
So now I'm in anesthesia where you may have 2 or 3 minutes with them before they're off to sleep. So you don't build that relationship,
Right,
but you learn to adapt, and you could still make a connection even in that short period of time. And so I worked until I ended up with a bone issue, and I wasn't able to keep enough vitamin D in my body. So my bones got soft. My muscle strength was still good, but I couldn't stand and walk for long periods of time without the pain getting so bad. So it forced me into retirement. And I've been retired for 13 years.
How old were you?
54 years old.
Okay.
And did I ever think I'd be retiring? No, because I loved what I did.
Right.
Truly was fulfilled and gratified.
So how long ago have you been retired?
Since 2012.
Okay, so it was 54, and now how old are you now?
I'll be 67 in
67.
November.
You look great, by the way. But guys,
Thanks. So I says, I have all this time. I was walking with a cane about 4 years ago and prior to that. And somehow my levels of vitamin D started increasing, and I was able to put the cane aside, and I've been walking since without a cane, but I still know my limits as to how far I can walk. Fortunately, when I sit down, the pain disappears, and it's good. When I'm standing for too long, I'll turn as white as the shirt, and the pain and the sweating from the pain. So I control that by, knowing how far I can go into stores and grocery shop and things like that. So I said, you know what? I saw Dawn Majorano running for her election. I always thought highly of the Majorano family. They're quality, genuine individuals. And my mother knew her dad since they were children, and they provided services for my mom at the time of her passing. And I walked into headquarters, and I said, I'd really like to help out. In some way, if you can use me, would you like to make phone calls? So every day I would go to headquarters during her campaign year and get on the phone and talk to people. And it was a wonderful experience. I enjoyed it.
right.
I think I was giving them maybe 3 hours every day.
That's integral, my friend.
And let me tell you, it's easier for me, believe it or not, it's easier for me to talk about other people, a lot easier than it is to talk about myself. So I did that, and it was gratifying because it was completely different than what I've done in life. And I've done a whole lot more, but we don't have the time for that. So I says, I'd like to continue in some way. She said, I think we have an opening on the Waterbury Republican Town Committee. Please come to the meetings, see what it's about. And if you're interested, I'll put your name up for nomination. And if they vote you in, you're now a town committee member. That occurred.
Wow.
And so then I've been attending all the town committee meetings and not missing any because, again, like school, and I had perfect attendance award. I love school. And this is new to me, new information. So I was then directed both internally that, you know what, I need to learn more of what's going on in Waterbury because I wasn't happy with the direction Waterbury was taking. After living here my entire life, I saw Waterbury go from a fairly comfortable, high position of living down to an area where things are degrading. And yet, it seems like the same people are in power and control. And I've said to all of them, how can I give you my vote and expect things are going to change when it's progressively going downward?
Right.
I said, am I going to have to get involved somehow to start making a change? Because I have the time now to do it.
Well, you did. You worked your life. You did your journey professionally, and then you came back and you got involved civically, which essentially everybody should, and you got to see it from the inside, working Dawn's campaign and listening to the people's voices on the phones. People don't understand how doing that little functionality of being on the phone and listening to voters, as you're doing right now for yourself, you get a lot of feedback to understand people's pain. And now,
Victor, that's a gift.
Yes.
To be given the opportunity.
Yes.
It's a humbling experience.
Yes.
Same thing being in a private room talking about a patient's medical history.
Yeah.
If they trust you, they will open up to you and share things they may not share with their own spouse.
But you took it to a different level. I seen over the past several years, you have then gone to Board of Alderman meetings, have spoken in some of them, and you follow everything, budget, new legislation, anything that affects how we live, how we breathe, how we function as a municipality and as constituents to, taxpayers to the city. You're now, completely honed in 100% saying, I need to be involved. I want to know more. I want to know how it works. I've watched you, and I'm very impressed with that. I'm very impressed with the fact that you do your homework. You not just read the paper, you go to a meetings, you hear the folks that are representing the people, are they doing their homework? And so I don't want to take away your thunder, but tell me, kind of wrap up to understanding the shortfalls, if you will, and, how you saw it progressively going down. Something must have, just a light switch went on. You said, I'm done. I got to do something, but go ahead.
Forgot to tell you, out of Manitou Community College, my degree graduating was an accounting degree. And I worked at East Coast Loose Leaf, a subsidiary of a bigger company in West Haven, Connecticut, as an accountant. So I have that background and knowledge. So I go to the Board of Alderman meetings. I listen to all the agenda items. I was there for the budget meeting. And it was an enlightening experience, to say the least. I'm watching all the alders, and those that were asking questions, those that were just sitting there, those that seemed distracted. What a learning experience it was. And my gut feeling, we were taught in medicine to always trust your gut feeling. It will never lie to you.
Correct.
So I said, there's going to be an election coming up. How can I best serve the people of Waterbury? I still live here. I could move away. I elect not to because this is my home. So now is my time in life, and again, this is a calling, Victor, to give back to everyone who lives in this city. I'm very fortunate. I don't need money. I don't want to make a career of this. At my age, I'm here for however long I am to improve and maybe change the direction of the downhill slope that Waterbury is undergoing, and to bring some integrity back, but to make the city safer for people that are afraid to drive in the city, that they've been victims of crime, to improve the quality of life with also the responsibility of being fiscally responsible and accountable and being transparent. Part of our focus is always to educate people, educate them as to what and the reason why we're doing things, spending money, not spending money. We shouldn't be buying buildings unless it's a sure winner for the city where it can bring more revenue in. Bringing businesses back. Businesses aren't coming into Waterbury, downtown Waterbury.
Not at all.
The box stores, the malls, they're on a downward slope. You look at successful cities like New Britain, and you try to model what that particular mayor, Aaron Stewart, has done for
Great
Britain.
job. Great job she's done there, yeah.
So this is why I'm there. This is why I'm donating my time, my effort, and I may be the first alder to not take a paycheck from the alders.
Well, that
will be a first for the city.
That would be a first.
I think by law you may have to take $1.
Yeah, I believe something. Yeah.
But then I would use the other money for some sort of charity or something.
Right.
I don't need it. So I'm not out for profit or gain in any way. It's my mission to give back. I want to contribute more to society than to take from it.
That's a profound statement, you know, to give to society more, to give more than to take from it. Allan, that is so genuine that's why, you know, I believe in what you believe, and I'm a fan, and I wish
you brought that out in me, because I really don't talk about this.
Listen, this is amazing stuff. You know, I want to thank you for coming out today. I want people to understand who Allan Leon is, what he's about, his journey, single mom, struggling mom, like a lot of us growing up in the inner city, went to school, fought through different career changes, found his path, his love, and went into his discipline, made it work for him, and contributed immensely in that field of medicine. Retires because he didn't want to, but because of physical illnesses and challenges. But then now he's back, and he's willing to give back. And you heard him. He wants to give back genuinely. He doesn't want to take. He wants to give. And I think that for folks out there in the 4th District, we have to stop voting for people just because we're their friends. We need to vote for people because we actually know that the people that we put in these seats, they can lead transformationally. They can bring change that's going to change the direction of the city.
Absolutely.
And make it better. And you, Allan Leon, row A, September 9th, you're going to win. And we're going to bring you right back on here to talk about your victory and some of your ideas as we get a deeper look into it. We'll do like a half-hour session once you're a candidate. November 4th will be the second round. So this is great. So you're going for round 1, round 2, and then the knockout punches when you start laying some local legislation.
Victor, let's go Waterbury.
Let's go Waterbury. Allan Leon, thank you.
Thank you very much.